B-Shab, what was your take on the Rousey, the end of the greatest fighter of all time?
Hold on. Well, our listeners are where I stand at.
The greatest fighter of all time.
This fucking guy. You go on, was it First Take or was it
Skip and
Skip and Shannon, who don't know shit about the UFC.
Right.
You go on there.
You are pontificating. Bad-mouthing.
I didn't badmouth. I've said it once. I've said it twice. Number one, how could you be the greatest at something if you've only done it 12 times?
What's she supposed to? It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. How can she not be the greatest where that's the sample pool? Like, what is she supposed to do? At the time being, with women's fighting, she was the best on that time, that 4-year period. She was the best we've ever seen.
MMA was.
Yeah, but
that's what we're talking
it was
about.
Never put in perspective. It was like, she's the greatest, and la la la. And the first
But she
time,
was.
But how could you be the greatest at fighting? How could you be the greatest at fighting?
Women's fighting.
Fighting.
Oh,
No, let's not categorize it. How could you be the greatest at fighting, women's fighting? How could you be the greatest women's fighter if during those 12 fights you've never gotten hit? A huge factor. Because
she was so good, though.
A huge factor in fighting.
Now, I'm not
That's like saying you're the greatest basketball player except for dribbling.
Okay, well then let me ask you this.
I can do everything except for dribble.
You think Mike Tyson's the greatest of all time?
No. And no, I don't think Mike Tyson's the greatest.
A lot of people do, but
they don't know boxing. And they don't know the history of boxing. He had
Correct.
a run that was great until he got hit.
He had a run that was great
And
until he
there was
got
other
hit.
factors. He
But
was
then
in
he also
jail.
didn't fight anybody. And then when he fought someone, he lost. And it was
Yes.
never the same again.
Yes.
It's very similar to Ronda Rousey. Granted, she had a shorter career. Her competition at the time was the best they had to offer.
It was the best they had to offer.
She has nothing to do with the competition.
Right.
So then she smokes all the competition, right? And then the one time she fights a high-level girl,
Who hits her?
Yeah, she gets smoked.
The first time she got hit, though, it was over. The first time Holly Holm hit her, her career was
Brendan
over.
Brendan always says, like, he'll see somebody moving who can hit and kick, and the first thing he says is, yeah, but how does he react after he gets hit?
No, but
Brendan,
it's not even getting hit.
The first time you
because
got
Ronda's
hit-
getting hit in practice.
Yeah.
Is she?
For sure.
Yeah.
All that shit's bullshit. Yes, she gets hit in practice.
Right, all
She's
fighters do.
Yes, it's part of the game.
tough.
But this is the
But
thing.
is it different, though, getting hit in practice and, like, the first time you get... Like, if you... Like,
It's different. I see what you're saying. Like real life, getting hit and then practice. She's been hit.
How much different is it?
It's the thing that's different is when you lose. Like this sport's easy when you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose is what you're defined by.
Right.
By her
And how you react to it.
by her losing, taking 411 days off, then coming back and smoked. Well, now you've tainted your legacy.
not tainted, it's irrelevant.
You
So
fucked yourself.
maybe the better way
because
It's irrelevant. Her what she
Because
did
no
as a
one
woman's
can-
fighter will always surpass what she actually did in the ring. What she did for the sport.
Yeah.
You can't argue.
And I was going to say that. So I think the better way to frame it is this. I don't think we should ever use the word great or greatest until you see an athlete challenged. It's like for me, Tom Brady became the greatest quarterback of all time because he was under so much pressure and came back
it's
from a
football, it's
23-point lead.
It's football.
No, it's not different, Brendan.
But the duress,
Because
though.
hold on.
He's talking about football
No,
and
I
fighting.
understand. But in life, an athlete is not great until you see how they react to getting hit, to being down, to
Tom Brady
losing,
can lose
and
on
coming
Sunday and the
back.
next Sunday play. Fight is
it's
completely
different.
different.
I'm just using it as a general example. Like,
No, I know, but
so what
it's
made Ali
fighting,
great?
the
but let me
magnitudes
just
are
finish
so
my
high.
Point. Let me just finish my point. So what made Ali great was the fact that he had people like Foreman, he
Frazier,
had people like Frazier, he had
killers.
people like Norton, and he lost and then came back.
Yes.
And so you do have to. I think the word great or greatest should always be reserved for somebody. After
But Ronda
they have,
was
after
great
they have,
in that
after they-
time period. Ronda beat girls in 13 seconds, 17 seconds.
But what does
a
that say
minute.
about who she's fighting, Brendan?
She has zero control over that. And at the
No, I
time,
get that.
she beat Olympic athlete. She beat a girl who's a world champion jiu-jitsu player. They're all number one contenders.
Yeah.
She has no control over.
She beat a silver medalist in wrestling.
She has
and
no
the
control
Olympics.
over it. That'd be the Olympics.
I hear you. I just think the hype for me and the, like,
she didn't ask for the hype either. That's a
She
lot of the
played
UFC
into it.
What is she supposed to do?
Okay, I get it. Everybody's going to make this just like Justin Bieber's like, yo, the fucking money's there. I'm taking it. The opportunities are there. I get it. But just as a fan, I was like, come on, man. Fucking the greatest. The greatest. They were talking about her like it was like, I'm like, she's headlining fights. It was almost like a freak show. It was almost like a freak show. Like she had no business headlining fights. In terms of the business, she had total business. But in terms of what she had done,
the level of talent compared to men, not as high.
Like, I fucking talk shit about Conor McGregor. I don't like his personality, but his greatness and Nate Diaz's greatness was on display that second fight. These guys laid it all on the fucking line. That's when you see, then I was like, Conor McGregor.
He's the real deal.
He's great.
But you're comparing apples and oranges. Men's fighting has been around for how long?
No. I don't think it's comparing apples and oranges. I think what you're doing is talking again something very specific.
The competitive spirit.
How do you react to adversity?
And how could you not?
We're not talking about that.
But let me ask you a question.
You're talking. So when Ronda was undefeated, she's 10-0. That
I was never
greatness.
impressed, and I was talking.
She's world champion.
I was talking about it on this show. I was like, I'm just not impressed. Like, this is too much
for women's fighting at 135 pounds. That was greatness.
Yes.
Now it's very easy for you to sit back and go, yeah, but she lost those 2 fights, man. She lost.
You know what? It's going to be similar thing to like I make the argument that like Bill Russell's overrated. They won 9 championships. It's like, that'll never happen again. And the reason why, there was 8 fucking teams in the NBA. They happened to be the best team, and he was the best player.
It has nothing to do with that.
So, but in 20 years from now, when 20 years from now, they'll say Ronda Rousey she did so much for the sport. Well, there'll be some other girl. There'll be Mary Jane. Can she beat Ronda Rousey 20 years from now?
For sure.
Of course she could beat Mary.
No. What I think is also significant is that when you look at a guy like Conor McGregor, who gets beaten by Nate Diaz very handedly in the first fight, and says, I want to fight this guy again at the weight class I lost at. Everybody's like, you're too small for this weight class, and comes back and beats him handedly.
In a brawl.
No, I agree.
That is a sign of, that is, you have to give quarter for how different that is than someone who does.
Hey, B, I'm not arguing that Ronda losing and then playing this pouting game and then not talking to the media and then coming out and getting starched again after 411 days.
She's not a fighter.
I agree. Yeah. We learned that she's
a great
not a fighter.
talent.
But what she did in those 4 years was great.
And it was great for the sport.
With the card she was dealt with was fair.
That's fair.
Now, those 2 fights where she got smoked by Holly Holm. But the first time we ever see her face adversity, you're like, what the fuck? It's like, all right, well, she comes back after that. Now we got something here. She takes 411 days off. I'm like, well, that's just not normal. Fighters don't do that. Real fighters do not do that. They are chomping at the fucking bit to get back in there because they're embarrassed. They have this deep championship soul where like, fuck you, I got to get back in there. We didn't see that. Then she comes back and gets fucking starched by Amanda Nunes, right? So then, and then she just goes, then she's done. Well, now you have a case like, well, you weren't the greatest ever.
No.
You weren't a real fighter. But I'm saying before those losses, she was great with the card she was dealt.
I agree.
Now she fucked herself.
But let me ask you a question.
She completely fucked her legacy.
Hey, let me ask you a question. In terms of...
Because you can't take your ball and go home. Like, imagine if LeBron James lost... Or imagine if Kevin Durant took his ball and went home after losing, in the West Conference Finals.
Don't do that.
You're like... The fuck?
And also, I didn't like how she handled the loss.
Or wins. I didn't like the way she handled a lot of wins.
And she was
not shaking Misha Tate's hand.
I agree. And then, like going on Ellen and making jokes about like, well, they should have stopped her, making jokes about breaking chicks' arms. It's like...
Karma's a motherfucker.
Karma's a motherfucker. And then also, when Amanda Nunes beat that ass real proper... Real nice, real proper.
As
you don't give her a pound.
Michael Rapaport would say, real proper.
You don't give her a pound. You just walk out of the ring. You're not a champion. And like, all this thing about, like, I'm here for women. And
it fucks the women's division.
And it's like, no, but it's also, it's like, you're here for women when things are going good, but when you showed who you really are when you lost.
Well, but
she didn't give her a fucking pound. She just walked out of the ring.
Hey, but this, and we'll get off this after this. But remember, she's like, when she's winning, she goes, don't be a do-nothing bitch. Just be that pretty girl with your ass in the air and having kids and being at home. Kadoosh! I'm just going to go home and take pictures with my ass in the air and have some kids. It's like,
yeah.
Whoa.
And as far
where are you at now?
And the feminism and the strong women.
All that's gone.
You didn't give Amanda Nunes a pound.
All that's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
She got real proper. Hey, get Betty Crocker. Did you want 2 or 3 cupcakes?
Damn.